Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we continue our spooky season content with a look at the new Scream Factory 4K release of 2010's The Wolfman. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so The Wolfman. And I'm just going to spare you the suspense and say, wow. Wow. Um, we're going to get into all the nuts and bolts here for sure of this movie. But my first watch impression of this, and I actually watched it and then skimmed back through and then skimmed back through again to record some footage for you guys. I am very glad that I didn't blind buy this, but it was almost a blind buy. I had not seen this movie since the theater, so it had been a solid 14, almost 15 years since I saw this movie. And the reason why it had been so long since I saw this movie is I don't remember it being very good in the theater. It felt a little rushed. The characters didn't feel developed to where you cared about them. They didn't have much of a backstory. There was a lot of things that were just kind of missing. But when Scream Factory announced this release, and I pre-ordered this a while back before my buying freeze, I was very excited to give it another try when I saw the director's cut was going to be added and that they were going to add some double slips, some different artwork, and I'm collecting posters. So they actually added, I promise you it's here somewhere. They added 2 posters to the list here. So both versions of the cover have their own posters. So you've got, I've got plans for my posters. So I'm collecting the posters, and I'm happy to report they did have a plastic cap on the tube. But I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a fair shot again. And the director's cut, this is important, the director's cut and the regular theatrical cut, which I will never need again, are both in 4K. So that was a big deal. This is a 3-disc set, and we'll go ahead and look at the nuts and bolts, and then I'll let you know what I think about the movie. So you got, like I said, you got both slips here. So this slip is the same cover art. I don't know if it's reversible in here. It is not reversible, but it doesn't matter because you have the 2 different slips. Both discs, both versions come on 4K, so the theatrical and the director's cut. The director's cut is almost 17 minutes longer than the theatrical cut. So that is significant. I mean, you're talking about a 12% increase in length of the movie. That is a lot of time to develop characters. The disc 3 both the 4K discs have a new audio commentary with film critics. Both are presented in Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos tracks, which this movie, I don't have a Dolby Atmos set up, but I'm going to tell you, one thing I did notice is like the central audio is a little bit low, but the sound effects and the beast attacking werewolf effects are out of this world. So if you have the, Dolby Atmos set up or whatever, I think this is one that will make full use of it. There is a werewolf fight scene at the end where 2 werewolves are fighting each other in this movie. Oh, it's not right at the end, but 2 werewolves are fighting each other in this movie. And there's sounds coming from all over the place. I think this one will be very, very cool with a Dolby Atmos track. I got to get that set up myself. But it does have that. And then on the 3rd disc, on the Blu-ray disc, you have both cuts of the movie. You have some other features here. You have the new audio commentary and an extended version of the commentary with Drew McWeeny, who is a film critic. You also have new Of Fur and Fang, folklorist and author Dr. Karen Stolznow on werewolves and the Wolfman. You also have new The Wolfbane Blooms Again, makeup and effects artist David Elsey on the Wolfman. You also have alternate endings, which I haven't dove into these yet. Deleted and extra scenes, Return of the Wolfman featurette, The Beastmaker featurette, Transformation Secrets featurette, and The Wolfman Unleashed featurette. So some of those, sure, they are like, archival, but that doesn't mean they're not good. You do have Rick Baker on this, who did all the makeup design, and we're gonna get into all that in a minute. But so here are your different discs. So it's a 3-disc set, and I really like that. There, it's pretty cool. I mean, all of the imagery. This movie is full of your classic Wolfman imagery. And of course, this slip has the standard cover, but I really did like this alternate art here. Very kind of old school gothic horror there, and kind of happy to have it. I'll probably end up putting that one on because you have this standard artwork here. So why double up? The movie itself is a completely different experience. First of all, the 4K looks great. Of course, I have a QLED. I don't have an OLED. I think on an OLED, where you can completely shut off those dark pixels, because a lot of this movie is dark. It's Wolfman. It's nighttime. I think if you could do that, it's going to look even better on an OLED. But that's beside the point. The director's cut of this movie made me a fan of the movie. I didn't care as much for the film. That's why I'm never bothered to watch it again. The longer version here, the 17 extra minutes, not only does it add backstory and character and kind of a development that makes you care about the characters, it also adds some brutality and some blood and gore that I do not remember seeing before. I think what happens is they kind of, like in the other version, maybe the theatrical, they cut away a little faster. Maybe they didn't linger on stuff or show it as much. This thing is brutally violent. I mean, it earns every bit of its R rating and then some. Of course, the director's cut's unrated, so it goes above and beyond that. But I was trying. This, of course, stars Benicio del Toro as Lawrence, who is eventually our Wolfman, right? Anthony Hopkins plays his father, Sir John. Emily Blunt's in this. She's sort of the love interest of both Lawrence and his brother. Hugo Weaving is kind of like your Scotland Yard detective here, kind of a stand-in for Van Helsing type character is what he is. And Lawrence has become Sir John, Anthony Hopkins. They are wealthy. They live in Darkmoor, the English countryside, in this huge house. And his mother dies at a young age, and it traumatizes him. And his father sends him to an asylum, and his other brother stays home. And it's just his brother and his dad and Emily Blunt, who is to be married to his brother, and the manservant Singh, who lives there with them. And the movie starts out, so there's a little bit of spoilers here. So the movie starts out, the inciting incident, as we call, is Benicio del Toro is a famous actor. He's performing Shakespeare in London, and he grew up in the United States. After the asylum, he went to go live with his aunt in the United States, in New York. He comes back now. He is doing all this stuff theater-wise. He's a famous actor. He gets a letter from Emily Blunt saying that his brother has been killed, and they think a animal has killed him. So he comes back home, And he is there to discover, he wants to find out what happened to his brother, and in the process, he's kind of rekindling his relationship with his father, which is a strained relationship. And he kind of begins to fall in love with his brother's ex here, and she falls in love with him. But the killings continue. He finds out that his brother was involved with dealings with selling stuff to the gypsies, this band of gypsies that are nearby. And he goes to question them about what may have happened to his brother. And while he's there, they get attacked by a werewolf, and he gets bitten. And but he survives. And so that is how he becomes a werewolf. But all this time, as he's recovering, he is trying to find out what happened to his brother. His family's kind of an outcast in the town. But now, because he's the only survivor of this beast attack, and his wound has healed so fast, Scotland Yard, Hugo Weaving, and all the townsfolk, they believe he is the killer. They believe he killed his brother. They believe he killed all these people. Or maybe he killed all these people because he thinks they killed his brother. And so they're after him. The townspeople come out for some vigilante justice. The father scares them away. Anthony Hopkins scares them away, who is phenomenal in this. Anthony Hopkins is phenomenal in this. I honestly, from an acting standpoint, think the weakest point in this movie is Benicio del Toro. As far as acting. And I know he's a producer on this. And I think, this movie has everyone thrown at it. Like Danny Elfman does the music. Benicio is a producer on this. Of course, you've got Anthony Hopkins in this. Rick Baker doing the practical makeup. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. And I believe you have Andrew Kevin Walker is one of the writers on this. So, you have a serious writer on this movie. And Benicio is just kind of talks too low. He kind of mumbles a lot, which is just the way, kind of his shtick, how the way he talks. He's either like, he's kind of down low, or he's really boisterous, and there seems to be nowhere in between. But he does kind of have like this dark brow and foreboding that kind of fits a little bit, and kind of the sadness about him that fits. But as the townspeople kind of close in on this family, the twist happens. And if you haven't seen this movie at all, I'm going to go full in spoilers now. So the twist happens, and you find out that Anthony Hopkins is the werewolf. And he is the werewolf that has been doing all the killings. And he bites Benicio del Toro on purpose to turn him into a werewolf. And he's trying to make him the man that he always wanted him to be. And he's gone quite mad, really, but he's also still extremely brilliant and calculating. So he bites Benicio, turns him into a werewolf, knowing that he's basically going to use Benicio del Toro to get the townspeople off his scent. He offers them up to Benicio del Toro when he turns into a werewolf, and he lets Benicio go and locks himself in so that he doesn't kill anyone else, but that so Benicio goes and kills all these town people who are after them. So when the townspeople come looking for Lawrence, Benicio del Toro's character, they find a beast in his place, and he's still partly there. So he remembers that these people were here trying to kill him, trying to frame him, all this kind of stuff, trying to blame him, basically, old school, like lynch mob justice him. And it gets pretty violent and pretty brutal. But as he wipes his way through them and the sun comes up, he wakes up and he doesn't remember what he did, but he's covered in blood. His clothes are covered in blood. And there stands his father saying, "Oh, Lawrence, you did such horrible things, such horrible things." And he's like smiling about it. And he's like, "But don't worry, they'll have their day, but the beast will out." And you turn around and look, and here is Hugo Weaving and all of Scotland Yard and all these people to come and arrest Lawrence, or Benicio del Toro. And his father plays directly into it. He's like, "Oh yeah, take him. You were right. He's the killer." He just totally turns him over because he's sitting there knowing that in a month, when the full moon hits again, that he's going to break out. So they take him to this asylum. They run all these tests, and he keeps telling them that that his father is a murderer, that his father killed his brother. He's the main werewolf. And you're like, why would his father kill his brother? But as they're doing all of these tests to him and experiments on him to try to cure him, he gets flashbacks to when he was a kid in the asylum and they were doing all these same things. And then he remembers that his mother didn't kill herself, that the memories he had were not real, and that he actually saw his father as a werewolf kill his mother. And it is this whole revelation to him. And then here comes Anthony Hopkins, and he basically spills the beans on it all. And this is the point when you really realize he's gone crazy too, is he basically killed his brother. Anthony Hopkins killed Lawrence, or Benicio's brother, because he wanted to leave home with Emily Blunt and go and get married and never come back there. So he said that the man in me understood that, but the beast wouldn't have it. So he fails to get locked up one night and kills the brother. He didn't, he was pissed, basically. And so the beast in him did it. And he tells Benicio he loves him. He gives him a choice. He throws a razor and says, "Hey, you can kill yourself if you don't want to be a beast." But he gives him the whole story of how he became a werewolf. And then when Benicio does turn, this really kicked. The last act of this movie is just balls out awesome. He escapes. They all see him turn into a werewolf. But then you get all of this atmosphere. You get a traditional Wolfman who is running through the streets of foggy old, Gothic London. And the full moon is out. He's howling at the moon. He's running. You have a Van Helsing type Scotland Yard detective chasing him. He's brutal. He kills people along the way, gets away. But all of these classic horror feeling vibes. I love the foggy old London. I worked the story of Spring Hill Jack into my movie Creature Feature and The Fog. There's something about that feeling that is super cool. And this movie just has tons of atmosphere to it. And especially with that, the old London atmosphere. And to that end, we talked about Rick Baker, who does the werewolf design, the practical werewolf designs in this movie, the practical makeup. So there's a blend of practical makeup in that early 2000s, because this is 2010, that early 2000s CGI, where it hadn't quite got there yet, but was still pretty good. It's passable. You definitely see the CGI, but it's a combination of CGI and practical. And then when they turn full on werewolf, it's mostly all practical unless they're doing something like jumping around or running. They mix practical and CGI in a really good way. I wish it was all... I kind of wish they could redo the CGI blend, because that's what I call this, a blend of the two. I wish they could redo it with today's CGI, and I think it would look seamless. Because Rick Baker's werewolves in this, when they go full on werewolf, they are bad to the fucking bone. I actually really love the werewolf design. You can still tell that it's Anthony Hopkins as a werewolf and that it's Benicio del Toro as a werewolf. Because, yes, we get full on Anthony Hopkins, Oscar winning badass actor ass as a full on werewolf. You can tell it's him. They do full on werewolf makeup, torso, head, arms, everything else. They do full on werewolf makeup. And like I said, they blend with CGI, but you can tell where the real makeup is, and it's fantastic. The makeup that they do. But you can look in the eyes and see, you can still see in the facial expressions, the body movements, that when it's Anthony Hopkins and it's Benicio, and it leads up to this huge fight at the end between Benicio and Anthony Hopkins, Sir John and Lawrence. And it is full on werewolf versus werewolf, father versus son. And the sick kind of twisted thing in here is Anthony Hopkins is proud of him for becoming this man, this beast that he wants him to become. He's actually proud of him. And I think he wants to fight him, but I think he wants them two to be together as father, son, werewolf. I don't think he plans for how this thing ends. And I'm not just going to tell you the whole ending, but I don't think he plans for it to end that way. I think he wants to teach his son a lesson and then show him how proud he is of him, because he tells him, he's like, my kingdom has always been yours to inherit. It's always been you. It's always been for you to inherit. But there is just a badass fight in here. And the ending of this movie leaves it 100% open for a sequel. I would love to see them do now. Get this werewolf design of practical makeup back. And get Rick Baker back. I'm telling you, I love the design of these werewolves when it's the full, just like makeup and not the CGI stuff. I am a big fan of how the makeup looks in this and the design of the werewolves. Get me the sequel. If you've seen it, you're going to know with this director's cut ending that there is a reason for a sequel. There almost should be, or could be. There should be a sequel. There almost has to be, to finish telling the story. Emily Blunt's character is not like, I mean, she does a good performance in this. I don't know how much she's needed or how much she does. She kind of does some things that I mean, I guess she writes the letter to Benicio to get him back when his home when his brother died. So without that, maybe you don't have that much of a story. But and she's kind of like the love interest, but I mean, I guess I don't want to say she's not needed. I wish she had like more to do. Like, she's in it a lot. I just wish like she served more of a purpose. I don't really know what I'm thinking of there, but like, I don't know, just a little something's missing with her. And I wish Hugo Weaving was introduced earlier in the movie, but I am sold. I'm going to watch this again. I can't wait to put it on my mom's OLED and check it out. If you want to talk about grain, you can definitely see a nice film grain in here. This has a very filmic look. So even though it has CGI in there, it definitely still, it's a beautiful picture. A beautiful picture. This is one I was taking a shot in the dark on because I don't do that a lot, but the artwork sold me. The thought of getting the director's cut in 4K sold me. And I'm such a huge werewolf movie fan that I was like, I'm going to gamble on this and see if that director's cut is worth it. Y'all, it is totally worth it. This is a high recommend for me. I don't say that lightly because I'm on a buying freeze. I don't like just telling you frivolously to spend your money. But if I could recommend something, I would totally recommend this. I think it's a classic werewolf story. I wish I could go back, like I said, and add today's CGI to fix that CGI makeup blend and make it seamless. And honestly, I would replace Benicio if I could. Even though I do like him. I just think there was better choices maybe for that, and he doesn't really feel like he is Anthony Hopkins' son. But I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Classic vibes of Wolfman, old school foggy London horror, dark more. I can't wait for Universal Studios epic universe that is going to have a whole Darkmoor Universal Monsters Land with a Wolfman roller coaster. Y'all, I'm a huge werewolf fan, Universal Monsters. This is a classic I highly recommend. And that is my review. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got this, let me know what you think of it. We're still spooky season focused here through the end of the month of October, but I do 4K reviews like this all the time from a filmmaker and fan's perspective. I do lists, rankings, physical media news, all of that. If this all sounds like something that is fun and stuff that you're interested in, please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel. I know you hear that from everybody, but it really does help that damn algorithm out there. And if you want to help support the channel, get your name in lights here, get access to special videos, behind the scenes of my filmmaking, and so much more, you can join the channel below at my Patreon link or right here on YouTube. Couple dollars a month, depending on your tier, you get access to different things, and y'all, it really does help me out a lot. Everything goes back into this to make sure I can do this channel, and I really do appreciate the love and support. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers. We may be there by the time this video comes out. If we are, I'm going to be scheduling a big 5,000 subscriber live stream giveaway of some prizes, some fun, just talk with you guys. I appreciate it so, so much. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.